So you're saying to yourself, that's an 80s Cutlass. That isn't that big a deal. But then you get closer and you take a look right here. That is a 442. That's a 1986 Buick 442. The 307. This is the last gasp true American muscle car with a V8 rear wheel drive. It's pretty cool. A friend of mine, this was her car she bought brand new in the 80s. Her kid drove it through high school and did something, we don't know what, and it's been sitting in storage for about 20 years. So she'd like me to try to get it running again. Eventually I think they're going to do a full restoration, but for right now she just said she kind of wants to hear it run and you know, drive it and enjoy it before, you know, she has paint and stuff she has to worry about. So we're going to see if we can get the 307 running in it, and if we can't, then we're going to go from there on it. But this will be another YouTube project that I probably won't get to for a little bit because I'm still working on the big truck over there. But I was excited and I just had to share with you guys. So there it is. Well, we're definitely in the middle of winter. Old Ford and I get a little cold, aren't we, bud? So we're definitely not under a shade tree right now. We're in the old garage and working on brakes. So I haven't really started filming a whole lot on the Olds project yet because we're not really doing any of the fun stuff yet. Right now we're just kind of getting the safety stuff done. You know, I'm not doing this car for myself. I'm doing this for a customer, and I'm worried that, unlike my idiot self, who's totally okay with brakes just failing and getting left on the side of the road and then just dealing with it then, these people are a little higher class than me. So we're going to go through the brakes. We're going to go through all the reliability things and safety things. I got a big pile of brake parts and everything we're going to go through. I just ordered ball joints and such that are in the house so that we can go through and drop in all new ball joints and tie rod ends and everything. Also, you know, just kind of plugging away at that right now. I've got a interesting surprise for under the hood, but that's gonna wait. That's on order, so that'll be in a different, probably definitely a later video. But for right now, today we are doing brakes. As you can see, I've already gotten started. I got this side completely rebuilt and back together. So we're gonna work on getting the soft line replaced for the rears, and then I'll start working on the other side. We're also doing a nice set of KYB struts, shocks. We're eliminating some old air shocks that didn't work worth a crap. So we'll get started. So one thing to note on these G-body, this might save you some frustration, is these aren't bolted in. They're held in by a retaining clip. So if you can kind of visualize this dust plate, these right here sit on one side of the dust plate, you know, and the cylinder's on the other wheel cylinder, and then this kind of presses into these slots here. Turn it right there, see, kind of sits in those tabs. And then you have to bend those tabs out of the way to remove the wheel cylinder, and they have a little divot in the wheel cylinder to get in there and do that. You kind of have to do it blind. There isn't a whole lot of room to work here. I can kind of get the camera back in there probably and show you maybe, but I won't really be able to see what I'm looking at, so hopefully you're seeing that. So we got to pull those tabs and get that damn grody old wheel cylinder out of there. We'll pop this in, and then we'll be done with brakes. We'll throw a new shock on here, new soft line, and then the rear end of this truck vehicle will be safe. The only last thing I want to do is probably check the gear oil and stuff in that differential. At least top it off or something. It doesn't appear to be leaking. It's got the usual weeps there, but geez, that's all of them. So we probably won't touch it other than top it off if it needs it. So here we are today, working on the car, the Olds 442. Sunroof leaks pretty good, so we've got it stored inside because it's the Kansas time of year where it snows and then it's 80 degrees the next day and then below zero the next. So it's not good for this little girl to be leaking water right now. So we got to figure out how to I think we got to pull this assembly. There isn't a whole lot of good information out there, so you'll be learning right with me as we figure out what we got going on. We got to pull this headliner, which is flip this camera around, or can we? We're gonna have to pause the video, flip the camera around. As I was saying, the headliner in this old girl is pretty well hashed. So we're gonna pull it, see if we can figure out how to maybe glue it back on to the backer board or get a different backer board. But before we do that, we just gotta get this sunroof out and get it re-sealed. So that's what we're working on. Well, there isn't going to be saving this headliner. It's just completely destroyed. We'll have to see if we can get a reproduction or something put in. Dang it, hoping we could save some money there, but it's just too brittle. I glue it back on there and it'll just fall apart. Anyways, these sunroofs look like they're one big integral unit, which might make this kind of easy for me. So we just got to disconnect, it looks like, here from the main harness. And then we have these mount points. I'm assuming there's some more back there we'll expose. And then we can drop this thing down as one unit. And then we'll be able to replace the outer seal right here. And then there's an inner seal on this bezel. And one thing with sunroofs to be of note, which I've ran into this problem before on even newer vehicles, much newer vehicles actually, these right here are the drip pans. So no matter what, these leak a little, and so they kind of have a drip pan that goes around the window. And this is where the drip pan drains. And a lot of times your leaks can be, I don't think it is in this case because the seal on this is just completely shot. But one of the things I'm going to check, and more than likely it is, these get plugged. And then they don't drain and they backfill. And then they run over the edge. The drip pan stops working, basically. So, I'm going to check that when we pull. But I think the easiest thing to do at this time is going to be to pull this whole unit down and out of the car. Make some room on the old workbench. And we'll actually reseal it and everything outside of the car. Clean it up. Maybe see if we can lubricate this old motor. Keep it running. Looks like it. This is pretty good shape, but may as well. So, that's where we're at. Alrighty, well, headliner's out. This is riveted in, which is pretty flippin' annoying, or looks like there's a rivet. Well, you know, taking a look at this, looks like it's just a press washer. And get in there with some needle nose, pop those out, and then get this harness pulled away, and then we can start undoing the 50 flipping nuts. You know, it's unfortunate because the seal looks pretty good, but I don't want to trust it. I think if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. Ford. Got the old apprentice out here with me, working on the car. Ford. He kind of a scaredy cat. He a little sissy boy. He's the headliner on the floor is scaring him. So he's like, "Oh, this headliner, it's gonna get me. Daddy, help!" See? Little sissy boy. Get down. Good boy. So, on this headliner, or excuse me, on this sunroof, you got about 6 bolts like this, and then you have some guide studs. And I think that's how you raise and lower the unit. I went ahead and moved the sunroof back because I felt it was a little better protected back here in the little thing. So There's my hot wife. She's so happy to see me. So it looks like you have a grounding strap here, and then some little screws, just looks like they just help with alignment. And then I think these here. And then this will all pull out as one unit, and then we can carefully weasel it out of the car. Turns out this ain't a one-man job. That is a heavy thing there. So I've got it sitting here on the back of the seats. Managed to somehow not tear the interior up. And when my wife gets home, I will see if she's willing to help me frickin' yank this thing out of here. Okay, well, my wife helped me and we got this out. Looks like this seal, pretty bad. Looks like it's just held in by adhesive, so we'll just have to clean it up and get the adhesive off. This seal looked good underneath, but there's a couple spots where some corrosion has gotten to it from the roof. And I think that compromised the seal pretty good. So what we're going to do is pull these seals, kick the compressor on, and blow the heck out of this thing. And then try to grease everything up the best we can, reinstall the seals. I'm going to have to probably call it a day because I don't have any adhesive for this. I'll have to do a little reading to try to see what the best is. I might just do a thin layer of RTV, but I don't know if that'll get it done. Probably want to get some actual adhesive, some seal adhesive to rebind the new stuff down on this once I get it all cleaned off. So it for today. Once again, our video will flash forward several days or weeks, and then we'll go from there. Well, winter's in full effect here at the Shade Tree garage. Oh my gosh. So power just went out. I'm hoping to try to warm up this garage so that I can finish this job and get this car out of here. So I gotta break this glue seal loose and clean this thing up, blow it out, run around with a heat gun so that I can glue down a new seal for this and a new seal for this housing, and slap it back in the car and get it out of my way. It's going to sit for a little while, I think. Hopefully the power comes back on. Okay, well, we used a heat gun and we got quite a bit of the seal material off. I mean, I think you could fight it for hours and hours and never get it all off. So I think this is good enough for 3M yellow to bond. So I think what we're going to do now is I'm going to hit it with carburetor cleaner because that's what I got in the shop today. We'll go around and clean up the seam the best we can and get the dust out just to get a good base for it to seal. And then the final step we'll do is that we will lube this track. I couldn't find any directions, but I can see where it kind of uses a wire drive. You can see down in here, right there is where it's exposed. Not there, sorry, up in here is where it's exposed, so I'll probably put some grease there. It's exposed again, right there. So on both sides, there's a channel in there. I'll grease it. Put a dab of grease on this wheel, put a dab of grease on back here on this wheel, and then that should give it some life and help that little motor work a little better. So we will get going on that. Anyway, got the time lapser going so you can see all that. So get to it. I am just Quite the internet celebrity. So good at this. Okay, just a tip. I've laid down a bead on this. I'm waiting for it to get tacky. This seal has to stretch like a rubber band around the outside. Kind of difficult to do by yourself. I'm going to have my lovely wife, Melanie, who's going to come in here in a minute and help me hold a couple corners down. Kind of like a fitted sheet, you know. You get 2 corners down, you get the 3rd down, and then it pops off. And you really don't want to do that and slap glue everywhere, so we're just going to have to get some help. So, just so you know. Alrighty, so it's been a couple weeks since we worked on the car, and I'm out here. It's parked in the yard because I forgot to shoot a wrap-up video. So here she is. We got a new seal in, got the housing back in. I still haven't ordered a headliner yet. So she's gonna sit for a while until I get some surprise stuff in. Already got one of the surprises. It's out here in my shop, but you'll have to wait to see what that is on another episode. So thank you. If you like it, hit like and subscribe. Follow me on Facebook, Shade Tree Mechanic, and Merry Christmas. Although this will probably not get up anywhere close to Christmas. It'll be like New Year's. So, you know, peace, love, all that.